Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. In this episode, I'm going to be starting a new segment, and it's going to be called In the Spotlight. What I'm going to be doing is taking an artist, different from different musical genres, and I'm going to be spotlighting an album of theirs, either that really people really don't know that much about, or an album that I like, and I want to feature it. In this episode, I'm going to be covering an album from a jazz fusion guitarist that is considered to be the best by some, and I would agree, uh, or one of the best jazz fusion guitarists that has ever been. And that is Pat Metheney, and the album is Secret Story. Now, Pat Metheney released his debut album on ACM Records in 1976 called Bright Size Life. That album also featured Jaco Pastorius on bass. Pat Metheney is again considered to be the best um, jazz fusion guitarist, along with Al Di Meola, you know, and others in a guitarist around in the jazz fusion field. He has released a ton of albums. If you remember, I said in a previous video how there are artists that have a catalog of music or albums that is so difficult to rank because they have so many. And Pat Metheney is one of them. If I ever do a Pat Metheney album ranking, it's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of time to get it right because he has a lot of albums. I wanted to just give a bit of a background. I first heard of Pat Metheney by name when I heard the track "This Is Not America" from David Bowie, because it was uh, promoted as David Bowie featuring Pat Metheney from the Falcon and the Snowman soundtrack with Sean Penn in the movie. And I always thought that the Falcon, "This Is Not America," not the Falcon and the Snowman, that "This Is Not America" was a fantastic piece of music. And, that Bowie delivered an emotional vocal, very emotional. I then heard of discovered Pat Metheney again in 1987 through the track "Last Train Home" from his album "Still Life Talking" that was released in '87 through Nonsuch. And again, I just thought that track was just a beautiful piece of music. It was very sparse playing, using brushes on the drums, very soft drumming, and just beautiful guitar work. Just amazing, very emotional piece of music. And this album, Secret Story, I discovered about a year and a half ago. And it was very difficult to track down. I think when I did buy it, I paid I was lucky. I paid like $14 for it on Amazon, but it was going as high as 100 on Amazon through secondary sellers. So I had to be really careful as to where I was going to find it because it wasn't even available in my local record shop. It was released on Geffen Records. Now, Pat Metheny is recorded for ECM, Geffen, Nonsuch, and has gone between Geffen and Nonsuch for the past few years. He has since recently left Nonsuch and has started his own record company through BMG Music, music management, called Modern Records. Not the Modern Records that released Stevie Nicks' um, solo albums, but it's his own label. And his last album was Road to the Sun in 2021. And before that, he released an album called From This Place, which I have both. And he released I was going to say side album, live album called Side Eye, New York City, which came out in 2021 as well, and I have that as well, and it's great. It's fantastic. Pat Metheney, in terms of his guitar style, he's not what you'd call, oh God, how can I put this? He's a very laid back player. He's very relaxed. He doesn't shred. He doesn't do thick guitar textures like heavy harmony guitar and stuff when he plays. He plays very, I'm just going to say singular notes when he plays. And he almost plays behind the beat, very laid back kind of thing. And his playing is, to me, is breathtaking. This album, Secret Story, is considered listed as world music, world fusion, jazz fusion. And I would agree. It was released in 1992 on Geffen Records, produced by Pat Metheney. 14 tracks. It's a long album. It's 76 minutes, 11 seconds. But you know what? It is fantastic. It meshes together a lot of different musical styles, different musical tastes, influences, in terms of there are vocals on some of the tracks in foreign languages, but you know what? It melds together beautifully. It comes together fantastic. The album starts off with a track called Above the Treetops. And I was trying to figure out how to describe this album in terms of in terms of its playing. It's like when you go on a trip and you pack your suitcase, you go on the trip. Every track, it's like you're stopping in a different city or a different continent, a different part of the world. Every song is unique, and every song has its own. Every song is a different chapter of a book, and you just keep going from city to city, chapter to chapter, and you're discovering different elements and different textures and different sounds, and you're not questioning it. You're not questioning it. You're not looking for the chorus here or a verse there. You're just letting the music happen, and you're letting the music wash over you. I said in another review of this album a year ago that this is an album where you're up in the morning, you're doing stuff around the house, you put this album on, and you continue doing your stuff around the house, whatever it is. And it's like opening a window in the summer and letting a nice warm breeze come in, and you smell the somebody cutting the grass, cutting the lawn, and the smells of outside come in, and it just literally washes over you, and you're just entranced. And that is what this album is like. Above the Treetops starts the album, and Above the Treetops, for me, it's almost like the start of a day. You get up and you're starting your day, and this is what is waiting for you when you walk out your bedroom door. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what it's like. And everything you do in that day is a new adventure. It's something new. The next track that's beautiful is Facing West. The third track is a track called Finding and Believing. It clocks in just roughly around, depending on which copy of the album you have, either like around 10 minutes, has different sections to it, different layers, different textures. It is beautiful, beautiful. Just also, side note, playing on the album, you have Lau Mays on keyboards, and also of note, you have Steve Ferrone, drummer, who has played with people like Shaka Khan, and for the he also joined Tom Petty's band when Steve Lynch left the band. He played with Tom Petty up until his untimely demise, unfortunately. The the album, as much as it is layered and textured, it's also very sparse. It's very open. There's there's not a lot of dense, overlayered production on it. It's a very sparse sounding album, very very open, and every track, it's like it's like you're on a different adventure. The Longest Summer follows in sequence of Finding and Believing, and it is a beautiful track. And to me, this like I said before, this album is like an adventure. It's like life. You go through different, you have your good days, you have your bad days. The next track, Rain River, which is a more of a dark, brooding track, and you hear effects of rain hitting a window pane. I mean, everybody goes through good days and bad days. This is what this album is like. But at the end of the day, you're better for it, because you've learned something by listening to this album. It's like this album gives you the sense that even though you face adversity, that nothing is impossible to achieve, whether it's a small feat you want to accomplish, or what you feel is an insurmountable achievement, but you do achieve it eventually. The next track of note is See the World, which, it's beautiful. Lovely keyboard textures on this, just amazing. And the tracks overall, they range in length from like 7 minutes to 10 minutes. There's a track on here called As the Flower Blossoms, As the Flower Blossoms. It's a minute and 58 second, like a little interlude that goes into another track, Antonia, which is beautiful, just a beautiful piece of music. The album overall, again, it is long, but it does move along. It doesn't. It's not stagnant on any track. It doesn't slow down. It keeps you moving. It's a feel good album. It's a summer album. You put this on with people visiting. You can just have it playing in the background, or you put it on at night. You sit in the backyard. You have the music coming from the speakers, and you just let it wash over you, and you're on an adventure. And again, as I've said before on other albums, you don't care when you arrive or where you arrive. All you know is that you're enjoying the moment of the music. You're in the moment. You're not thinking about bills that have to get paid or whatever. You're not even thinking. You're just letting the music do everything for you, just take you. So, if you've heard this album, you know what I'm talking about. If you know of Pat Metheney, and you know of his guitar playing and his ability to write fantastic melodies, and his ability to just take you on a journey with his music, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't heard this album yet, please do listen to this album. You can listen to it on YouTube. You can get it on Amazon, at your local record store, if they do carry Pat Metheney catalog. It is not discontinued by Geffen. It is still available. So please take the time, invest, and hopefully you'll like what you hear. So that's it for this episode. I'm going to be doing another one later on today on another artist that I hope you may not know of, or for the casual listener. But for those of you who do know, then great. Join me for the next episode. and hopefully you'll like what you hear. That's it for now, and hopefully you guys are having a great day, and I will see you very soon with another video. Take care and have a fantastic afternoon. Bye for now.